Quarter 2, Module 2, that is changes that materials undergo, and Lesson 2, identifying evidences affecting chemical change. So there are conditions or factors that can cause chemical change on the material. Of course, earlier we already discussed it, or the previous meeting that we had in your lesson one. So we already differentiate what is chemical change, what is physical change. We also define chemical change, right? And in this lesson, chemical change occurs under the following condition. Um, Presence or lack of oxygen, that is number one, and application of heat. Okay, so in this lesson, you can identify the evidences that occur under each condition. So later on, we will give some examples in these conditions wherein this is the evidences of the chemical change. Okay, so, but before we proceed with this slide or this discussion with this chemical change, what is the definition of chemical change again? Okay, so chemical change, as we all know, that chemical change is it creates there's a change in the odor, in the smell, in the appearance, of course, of the material, and it creates a new substance or product. And as well as rather it cannot go back to its original phase of matter. Okay, so for example, previous or in our lesson one, example of chemical change that we all know is the so rusting of iron is one of the example of chemical change because if the iron is there's a rust in the iron, so we cannot the nail cannot be returned to its original uh, phase of matter, as well as a paper, burning paper. If you burn a paper, it turns into ash. So kahit anong gawin mo, pabalik-balik rin mo pa yung ash na yun, hindi na magiging papel yon. Okay? So there is a chemical change happen there. Okay, so chemical changes. You have there the chart. So presence of oxygen, absence of oxygen, and application of heat. So under the presence of oxygen, number one is production of lightning, changes in odor, texture, taste, and appearance. Example of change in odor. Um, yung, yung spoiled milk, di ba? Yung spoiled milk, kapag or yung panis na gatas, yun. So, kapag inamoy mo yun, iba na yung smell niya. Yun. So, texture, taste, the same manner yung taste. Sa may example yung overripe na mga fruits, di ba? Kapag tinikpan mo yun, iba na yung lasa. Okay, yun. Growth of bacteria. Yung yung panis na tinapay, yun, meron na siyang mold, di ba? Kapag kan mo yun, meron na siyang bacteria, presence of bacteria in the bread. Yun. And we have here absence of oxygen. Pag absence of oxygen, formation of bubbles. Kapag formation of bubbles, ano, example, yung kapag nag-shake ka ng egg, di ba? Kapag hinalo mo yung egg, nagkakaroon siya ng bubbles. Okay, because there's no oxygen there. Kaya nagbabubble siya. Or kapag hiniwalay mo yung egg yolk and egg white, yung egg white na lang, whisking mo, or whisking. Kapag whisking mo yun, or na-shake mo yun, there's a bubble, or there's a formation of bubbles. The same manner is formation of curdle precipitates. Okay, so change in odor, texture, taste, and appearance as well, and appearance or production of heat. So yun, absence of oxygen yun. So magkakaroon kaya ng apoy kapag walang oxygen? Of course, hindi. Kasi kailangan ng apoy yung oxygen. Okay, so later on, let's find out. May activity tayo doon na mangyayari. Okay, next we have application of heat. Application of heat, under of this is production of lightning, changes in odor, texture, taste, and appearance, production of electrical energy, ito yung pinagkaiba niya sa dalawa, and production of sound energy as well. So, of course, kapag merong heat sa may chemical change. Example, yung mga kuryente, 'di ba? Ayun. So, magkakaroon siya ng yung refrigerator. Kapag wala siyang application of heat or electrical energy, hindi siya gagana. Okay, yun. And let's define what is oxygen or discuss oxygen. What oxygen is. Oxygen is a gas produced by plants found in the atmosphere. Of course, hindi tayo mabubuhay without oxygen. 'Di ba? Sinong tao hindi mabubuhay walang oxygen? Yun. So, kailangan natin magtanim ng puno para marami tayong oxygen na malalanghap. It is a very reactive gas because it helps in chemical reaction and kailangan siya para ma-undergo ang process of chemical reaction. It combines with nonmetals and it produces non-metallic oxide, and with metals, it produces metallic oxide. Tandaan na kapag non-metal, non-metallic oxide, kapag metal, that is metallic oxide. And this combination of materials with oxygen is called oxidation. Yun, kapag meron na siyang presence of oxygen, so sa materials, that is what we call oxidation. For example, when a nail is exposed to oxygen and water, rust start to form its surface. Bakit water? Wala namang oxygen sa water. Remember, water is H2O, hydrogen, dalawang hydrogen, isang oxygen. So therefore, oxygen pa rin. Kaya nagra-rust yung nail. Ano pa? Yung galvanized iron. Yan, kapag umulan, uminit, kapag time goes by, nagkakaroon siya ng rust. Okay? Nagkakalawang. Yun po, because of oxygen and water or exposed to oxygen and water. And we have here combustion or burning. It's not possible without oxygen. Yung sinabi ko kanina, walang apoy kung walang oxygen. Kung walang oxygen, walang apoy. Yun. Kung wala rin yan. So it requires three elements such as heat, fuel, and oxygen. So therefore, kung ang tatlong elements na to or isa sa tatlong elements nito yung mawala, hindi magkakaroon ng burning or combustion. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng examples, hindi naman sinihi, yung mga sunog, di ba? So kailangan ng heat to or oxygen, kailangan ng oxygen para magkaroon ng sunog, okay? So kung absence or kulob siya, absence of oxygen, so walang mangyayaring apoy. What happens in the activity? The flame burning candle was put out because, okay, we already have the activity 1.1. Napansin nyo sa candle, yung tinakpan yung kandila, namatay yung apoy because there's absence of oxygen. So therefore, kung walang oxygen, walang apoy namang yayari. And in the presence of oxygen, respiration or breathing may take place. Oxygen is needed in order for living things to survive. In fuel, our cells and helps provide the basic building blocks that our bodies use to survive. Of course, yung kailangan din ng katawan natin yung oxygen kasi that is for our breathing and respiration. So, kung wala siya, wala tayo ngayon, di ba? And it also kills bacteria and nourishes the cells to fight against viruses, bacteria, and others. Without oxygen, brain, liver, and other organs may be damaged just minutes after without it. So, ilang minutes lang, wala na lahat. Patay na. Because oxygen is very important for the body. Okay? Because it is for respiration and breathing. Sige, i-try nyo wag guminawa ng ilang minutes or seconds dyan. Di ba mahirap? Because palpitate yung heart mo kasi walan siya ng oxygen. Ayan. So, ayan, hyposemia is a kind of disease when the blood does not carry enough oxygen to meet the body's needs. Without it, there would be no respiration. So, the lesser the oxygen, the slower the reaction rate takes place. So, ito yung sakit na kapag yung blood natin, blood, kapag yung blood does not carry enough oxygen to meet the body needs is hyposemia. Okay. So, blood, hindi yun na oxygen yung wala sa katawan natin, kundi yung blood natin is kulang sa oxygen. Ayun. So, of course, kailangan natin ng oxygen sa body natin. Okay, so that's all. Happy learning and hashtag sulong edukalidads or high PES.